If you're looking for an easy way to glam up your furniture or any project, this is for you. I'm sharing a step-by-step tutorial on how I applied gold leaf foil to a thrift console table. Just let me get set up and I'll be right back. Let's start. Here's the fun part. I spotted this console table amongst a bunch of other furniture in the Restore. It had an old Vizio TV on it and was surrounded by a bunch of other unattractive furniture. But when thrifting, I like looking for the gems hiding amongst the junk. I brought it home and gave it a really good once-over, and it was in really good shape. There were a few scratches, but overall, this table was sturdy and ready for a new look. I really wanted to highlight all this beautiful detail. I started by removing the stickers and flipping it over. This is a Pier 1 Imports table from 2002. I started giving the underside a really good cleaning. Then I removed the mismatched floor gliders, plastic and felt off the bottom of the legs. I flipped the table back to the upright position and started giving the top and the sides a super good cleaning. For all this beautiful detail, I used a dollar store brush and I made sure to get into all the crevices. When everything had dried, it was time to give this piece a really good scuff sanding. And I used my orbital sander along with a 150 grit sanding paper, and I sanded all the scuff marks and scratches out of the top. There was no need to sand off the entire finish because I did know that I was going to be painting the top and the body. The rounded legs and the detail I hand sanded with a 220 sanding sponge, and then I used a dollar store brush and wiped off all the dust. The table was brought back into my sanding room, and because I've worked with Pier 1 import furniture and similar furniture with finishes like this, I do know that there is a lot of bleed through. So I took some bonding bosch, I gave it a really good mix, and I poured it into a container. This bonding bosch comes in clear, white, and gray. I'm using the clear, however, all of them work the same. It's a great bonding adhesive for your paint, and it also kills all bleed through and blocks the stain and odors as well. I used an inexpensive chip brush to apply the first coat. I let it dry for I probably went upstairs and did a few things. I think it was between 2 and 3 hours. They do recommend a couple of hours in between coats. Then I applied a second coat and let it dry overnight. This clear bonding bosch does go on looking milky, so you can see exactly where you're applying it, but it will dry perfectly clear. The next day, it was time to give this table some color. And a big thank you to everyone who chimed in on last week's post, because I seriously didn't know what color I wanted to do this table. But many of you chimed in. Green was brought up quite a few times, so I went with this rich collared green chalk mineral paint. Using my 2-inch mini and a spray mister bottle, I just lightly misted the paintbrush, dipped it into the paint, and started painting on this beautiful color. And as you can see, it applies so lovely. I've had this little 2-inch mini paintbrush, probably for 3-4 years now. And it just goes to show that a quality paintbrush will last. I use it to pounce into little divots and little crevices and all the details on this table and similar furniture with detail. And it holds its shape. And it works very well on smooth surfaces as well. So that's a really good test for a brush. If you can pounce that brush into different crevices and then still get a very smooth paint finish when painting a flat surface, you know that you have a good quality brush on hand. I also had a comment, I believe it was on Facebook possibly. I'm not sure which social it was, but somebody commented that they thought I was using a lot of paint on my paintbrush, like applying a lot of paint. You do what you're comfortable doing. Now, I've been painting furniture for so many years now. I can actually load up the brush pretty good and spread that paint quickly. That comes with experience, and if you're just starting out, or if you have a different method of painting your furniture, maybe you like using very little paint on your paintbrush and working in smaller sections, do whatever works for you and what you feel comfortable doing. You do not want a ton of paint on your furniture. For instance, you don't want it dripping. You want a nice, even distribution of paint. But how you get there is totally up to you. So I just wanted to mention, when you're painting, do it your way. Do it how you are comfortable to get the optimal results for your furniture. Now, when I am getting the no brush marks on rounded legs, etc., anything that is curved, I do the exact opposite. I have very little paint on my paintbrush, and I do my slap it on technique. And I will include a card up above so you can click on that video, and I'll also include it down in the description box below. Again, the more you paint furniture or the more you paint projects, you will come up with your own way of doing these things that will give you the least amount of brush strokes, the smoothest finish, the easiest and best way for you to spread the paint onto your project. So again, just do what you feel comfortable with and what works best for you. I worked my way around this table, painting and giving it 2 coats for full coverage. Now for the fun part. Let's glam up this piece. I brought out some Stick With Me Dixie Shine glue and an artist brush. I decided I wanted to add some gold leaf foil and really make this piece shine. I started applying the adhesive glue, but I was being a little messy. It was going, little bits were going in places I didn't want it to go. So I decided to bring out some green painter's tape and mask off the sections I did not want to hit with the glue. I wanted to keep the glue very specific to the details on this table. Once the front and the details were masked off, I went ahead and applied the glue. Now I just want to mention that if you're using gold leaf or gold leaf foil, a special gold leaf adhesive or gilding adhesive is required. Regular glue will not work. And the reason being is this type of glue, it dries, but yet it's still very tacky. And it allows the gold leaf and the gold leaf foil to go on very smoothly, and it doesn't bubble and it doesn't get wet. So you do want this special type of glue when using gold leaf or gold leaf foil. While the front was drying, I went ahead and masked off the sides and started hitting all the details along with the pinstriping detail above with this Stick With Me glue. I also grabbed a smaller artist brush and did the pinstriping at the front of the table as well. See, I am a little messy. But if you get any of the glue on your piece where you do not want it, you just need to take a damp shop towel or cloth and wipe it off, because it's water-based, so it will wipe off easily. This glue takes about 15-20 minutes to dry, but it's not really dry. It dries to it's really tacky, like an extreme tackiness. So be sure not to stick your fingers in it or get anything in it, because it will stick. I removed the painter's tape, and now it was time to put the gold foil on. And before we stick the foil on, I just want to show you how the glue looks once it is tacky. It's no longer white. It just kind of has a clear sheen to it. Dixie Shine foil comes in these rolls, and it's very, very simple to use. I just measured and eyeballed the length I needed, the size of the piece I needed, grabbed my scissors, and I cut it, or you can rip it off, either or. And then I place the strip of gold foil exactly where I want the gold gilding to be. In this case, I started with the pin stripe up top above the detail, and I used the end of my paintbrush just to make sure that all that gold gilding got right in that crevice. I actually did a pink piece with this gold foil as well. And I'll be sure to add that link in the cards above and also in the description down below, so you can go check that out as well. I used the same strip of gold foil as I did for the pinstriping above, because you can reuse these pieces. If you have some gold foil, whether it's just a little piece or a lot left over on one of these strips, you can reuse them, and you can even layer it. So I just laid it on the detail, and here I'm using a burnishing sponge, and I'm just rubbing that all on and getting it into all the crevices. I'm also using the other end of my paintbrush to get that gold right into all this detail. And once I have it all rubbed on and in there, check this out. You just pull it off, and the gold sticks to whatever the glue was on. So wherever the glue was is where this gold gilding foil is going to stick onto. Now you'll notice that the lines are kind of missing because they're in the detailing up above, but all I had to do was overlap a new piece of this gold foil and repeat the whole process. So I just burnished it on, and you'll see that when I pull it off, there won't be any lines left because the gold has gotten in there. And as I mentioned, you can reuse the strip of foil so long as there's gold on there. So here I'm just taking little bits and pieces and burnishing it on where I think it could use a little bit of extra gold. And you can just repeat this and keep using that strip and get all those little details as perfect as you'd like them. Now that I felt really comfortable using it because I used it on the side, it was time to move on to the front. And I repeated the whole process. I did the pinstriping up top first. So I laid my gold foil down. I used the end of my paintbrush to really get it into that crevice. Burnished it on because I don't mind a little bit of gold kind of being on the outside of the crevice as well. And then I removed the gold foil. And here's a close-up of me applying the gold foil on the details on the front of this table. Again, if there's any areas that you're not happy with and you'd like a little more gold coverage, you can reuse that strip. Use the areas that still have some gold stuck to it, burnish it on and pull it off, and you'll notice you'll get a perfectly gilded finish. I worked my way around the entire table with all the details and the pinstriping above, but then when I stood back and I looked at it, this gold really pops. It is gorgeous. When the light hits it, it looks phenomenal. So I decided I needed some more gold so this table all looks cohesive. It just looked too much gold in the middle and not enough gold anywhere else. So what I did was I masked off the edge of the tabletop and I added the glue there. I also masked off a few areas on the legs and I added the Stick With Me glue there, waited for it to tack up about 15-20 minutes. And then again, I started using the gold foil just to make this table all cohesive. Or maybe it's just because this product is so darn fun to use, I just wanted to use it some more. I have to say, it is really fun using this, and the results are spectacular. To protect all my work, I added Gator Hide top coat and I applied it with this blue sponge. I waited a couple of hours in between each coat and I added 3 coats in total. So just as a reminder, here's the Thrift console table before. And here's the after, and I think it is absolutely beautiful. And as I said, this was a really, really fun makeover. And I hope you love it as much as I do. So please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear if you would ever try this gold gilding foil and what you think of it. Also, be sure to subscribe, and you can also find me over at salvagedinspirations.com, where I have over 500 furniture painting tutorials teaching you how to make your furniture beautiful. Until next time, have a fabulous week. Bye, guys.